Snack-sized business.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Snack-sized Business, where it is our pleasure and joy to introduce you to amazing women who are women business owners, who are entrepreneurs, or who are driving industry in some way and making big positive impact. So today on the Zoom, I get to introduce you to Crista Salvatore. So Crista is the CEO and founder of Spark Truth. So let me share with you her 5 facts and we'll take it from there. So Crista says that she wrote a book called The Grace Within, which will be released on Valentine's Day 2023, and it is all about self-love. How appropriate. She says that she has worked in leadership development for over 15 years and created a company in April of 2016 called Spark Truth, where she supports and coaches leaders all over the world. Number 3, she says the beach is her happy place. She loves the ocean and respects its strength and beauty. I'd love to talk to her more about that. She grew up in the suburbs, but found herself really appreciating living in cities, in Boston for 6 years and New York City for 10. And then finally, her family appreciates Sunday dinners, and their motto is food is love. I can totally, completely relate to that. So please stay tuned for my conversation with Crista Salvatore. Hello and welcome to the show, Crista Salvatore. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks, LB. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, of course. So I've been dying every time I've said your name in my head. I have said Crista Salvatore, you know?
Yeah, that's probably the most correct. I say Salvatore, but Salvatore is the Italian version.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to say. It sort of rolls, you know?
Yes, it is. I think it's a pretty last name. I'll keep it.
I agree. All right. So I have your 5 facts and I can't wait to have a conversation with you about your book. But first, I wanted to ask you about the beach. Tell me what about the beach really draws you in, because I feel the same exact way.
Even as a small child, I loved the water, even though it could be rough, cold, because I went to the Jersey Shore a lot. So, but I just love the waves,
Sure.
And the smell of the beach, and I think the ocean is just so magnificent. It's just like the strength of it, the beauty of it. It's a calming place for me.
Yes, for me too. It is. Every time I get within proximity, visual proximity or scent or whatever, I feel my chemistry changing. I understand.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let me jump into the first of our 3 questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. So what conversation do you wish you'd had but did not?
So I thought about this one and I went with my first thought it's the conversation I have with myself, which may seem a little odd, but I find that growing up or as I got older, I think sometimes I discounted checking in with me on what was important for me, what were my boundaries, what did I want, how did this make me feel? And I think I made it about other people instead of going within and checking in with myself first. So
right.
I think
that's such a good response. Yeah, I love that. I think you're 100% correct in that we have a tendency or we choose to sometimes not listen to the inner voice, the intuition, whatever it is that we call it. But in favor of what we think we know.
Yeah, and I think, or we discount it, like you said. We say, oh, we're being ridiculous, or
yes,
that's not right. And I have to say, I'll be probably 90%, if not 100, my intuition is right on the money. Now, I don't know what it has to say to me. Like, it doesn't always.
That's a whole different
answer, right? But I do think that it's an opportunity for me to listen. And at times I have not always given it the strength that it deserves and the space that it deserves.
Ooh, good. That's good stuff. All right. So let me ask you our second question. What do you love about what you do?
Yeah, so I am an executive coach and a facilitator. So my world is all about learning and reflection. And I love giving clients space to be themselves with skill. Really give them the space to connect with their own gifts, strengths, skills, and look at the areas that may be getting in their way. Maybe blocking or stopping them from really taking that big job or going for that stretch assignment or saying yes to something that terrifies them. So giving people the space for them to be themselves, because I find when we're more connected to who we are and what we have to offer, the world everything is a possibility for us.
Right. Okay. So I want to sum that up in like one tweetable nugget. How would you say that you love the idea of transformation?
I love transformation, but I love the idea of people stepping into their own power and really coming from a place of themselves.
Love it. Love it so much. Okay. So I'm going to circle back to your book for a quick moment.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I'll be a labor of love. It definitely was. It was about 6 years in the making. And it was just a story I had. And I had taken a writing class in Manhattan when I lived in New York for a while. And I realized that I was just drawn to writing fiction. So this is a fiction book. Mm-hmm. It's a parable, and it's about a woman who learns about herself through her relationships. So the different relationships in her life, both intimate, friendships. There's a grandfather in the book. So It's really her own self-discovery of learning about herself. And then at the other end, helping people along the way. So it's a book on self-discovery and healing. So at the end of each chapter, even though it's a fiction book, I have 5 coaching questions. I can't help myself being a coach.
Right. You are who you are.
Exactly. And there's an activity. So it's a way, people can go as deep as they want to, but I wanted a book where people can bring back their power as well, because there's so many times that when things happen to us, and I'm not saying that people don't have any right to be upset or, feel wronged, but this is a way to look at what's happening in your life and what's the learning for you. How can you heal from that situation?
Right. Yeah. I once heard someone, I don't know, maybe it was Glennon Doyle, but I'm not sure. And she reframed when bad things happen and people try to pull pull something from it. It's not like you're glad the bad thing happened, more that what can I get from this terrible thing and somehow make it worthy.
Yeah, and definitely not lessening the loss or the pain.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I think you actually should embrace that piece of it, because that's where the learning is. But a lot of bigger, more challenging things that have happened in my life is really, I got to see me rise above and say, okay, what am I going to do with this now? And how can I get through it and be stronger?
And I'm sure that helps your coaching business. That helps with how you are helping other people to step into power.
100%. I have done a lot of my own self-recovery. That's a good kind of word. Self-discovery. Things that have happened to me just because I'm just interested in learning in general and kind of why we're here and what's our purpose. So I have done a lot of work on myself, quite frankly. I don't have it all figured out. And I think that allows me to really understand where my clients are coming from, have more compassion and kindness, because, we all go through our own stuff. It doesn't matter where you are in the company or where you are in life. Everybody has their own journey and everyone's learning.
Yeah, agreed. Well said. Okay. third and final question.
Sure.
What communication advice do you live by?
I think I have had to work up to this one. And there's tons of things out there. But what I would say is really be honest with people and direct. It's having those tough conversations and speaking your truth and doing it directly, but you can do it with love and compassion.
Right.
But still having those conversations. Because I think what happens is we don't want to have the conversation. We don't want to hurt the person. But not being honest and authentic is not good for the other person.
Right. It is in fact hurtful.
It is. And we are betraying ourselves. So I think it's looking at really being honest and upfront with people and having those difficult conversations before they fester or before they get worse. Because what happens is the conversation never goes away. It always, the issue doesn't go away. It just festers and gets worse and worse and worse. And then sometimes you confront people and you explode. And then they're like, wait a minute, where is this coming from? So I think to have those conversations earlier than later and have those tough conversations, because that is in a way really enriches the relationships by being honest, by being authentic. I think that really helps build the relationship to what it could be.
I agree. And you know, of all of the women that I've spoken to and asked this question, that by far is the most popular, if you will, answer about, you know, being honest with yourself and honest and direct with other people with a loving and empathetic overlay. So kudos to you.
I know, I think people see it as it's selfish or self-serving, but I find when we're more true to ourselves, it gives space for people to be true to themselves. Like,
absolutely.
I have better boundaries now, so I am more cognizant and really more respectful, I think, because to people's boundaries. So because I've learned it for myself, I can create a space for others, if that makes sense.
Right. I agree. I think that showing up as our authentic self is respectful and loving to other people.
Yeah, because it gives them space. Yeah, it gives them space to step into themselves.
Right. Exactly.
People are not looking at what you're saying. They're looking at how you're being. They're looking at what you're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you're a communication guru here, right? So you know this. It's not necessarily word choice, and that can be part of it, correct?
Right.
But a lot of it is what people are experiencing from us.
Yes. Gosh, I was reading last night, and it's stuck in my brain, the quote from James Baldwin, who says, "I can't listen to what you're saying because I see what you're doing."
Right. Exactly.
Woo.
That's
exactly right. Yeah. All right. So let me circle back to dinner. Let's talk about dinner. Let's talk about food is love. Let's talk about Sunday dinners. So is this sort of an Italian family tradition, or is it your family? How does that work?
So we used to do it like growing up. We had Sunday dinners. We'd always eat at like 2 or 3 o'clock.
Yes.
Holidays, it was never eating at 6 or 7. It was always in the day. And I just think it's a way to bring people together. You know, again, food is love in my family. I mean, I go to my parents, and the minute I'm there, it's like, what do you want to eat? So it's just a way to kind of come together and gather and enjoy, you know, each other's company.
All right. So last thing before I go, do you want to tell people where they can connect with you, how they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website. The name of the company is Spark Truth. And but the website is www.sprk, so no A, and then truth, truth.com. You can Google me, Crista Salvatore. I'm on LinkedIn.
Salvatore.
Yes, exactly. And then my book is officially out there on Valentine's Day.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you until our next conversation. Take care, and a gajillion book sales I wish for you. And I'm on my way to pre-order.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.